Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 2 versus 2 on Hess duel, and I'm going to be playing with Berlin Command. This is the first game that I have played multiplayer on the 1.0 release of WARNO. That's right, WARNO is finally out of early access, and today I wanted to take the opportunity to show off this game and also talk a little bit about some of the changes and what is new in 1.0. The main thing that has been introduced in the 1.0 release of WARNO is the campaigns. If you've been looking forward to more campaigns, well, we now have all 5 of them in the game. Previously we only had the one, which was Bruderkrieg, and now we have the other 4. So lots of campaign content to come on the channel, that's for sure. And I will be covering all of them. I don't know how regularly the videos are going to be coming out for the campaign, but the initial videos for each campaign will be daily. And then I'll probably reduce them to every other day or every few days. But anyway, the game is underway. My poor fox here getting taken out by a BRM on the road, as I was trying to flank up the left side here with the fox, just like I'm doing on the right here with this fox. These little foxes are fantastic for flanking, and that 30mm autocannon is really good for taking out units in the back line. Otherwise, I started with 6 Berlin light rifles, which are spread across the front here. We have the Mistrals backing those up, and a few PSSE. And it seems like myself and my opponent today both deployed relatively conservatively, taking our sectors and just kind of holding the line. So the next sector we either want to go for is Echo or November. My plan was to try and make a little bit of a play across this open ground in order to grab this sector in the center of the map. But my opponent had other plans, as you can see. Love here approaching on my left flank with the BRM 1. So other changes that have been introduced in WARNO release 1.0. Well, the artillery changes are quite significant. They've made it so that the further away artillery is, the larger the dispersion. And that also means that the closer you are, the smaller the dispersion for artillery. So it definitely changes the way that you use artillery and encourages you to have artillery closer to the front line. And so the idea being that artillery will be easier to counter. You're going to be able to punish enemies easier, particularly in 1v1 if there's any artillery used in that. Another change is that rocket artillery has had its reload time increased by 20% across the board, I believe. And what that basically means is rocket artillery in general should be less oppressive. You'll find that people using grads won't be firing them every 2 minutes, or be more like every 3 minutes or whatever the reload time is. So yeah, that's a really good change. Another change that I'll talk about whilst things are a little bit quiet in this game is the veterancy. Veterancy is changed in a way where units now level up faster. It's something that a lot of people probably didn't even realize was the case in WARNO so far, but basically when units engage and kill enemy units, they gain experience, which can level up their veterancy. But the amount you needed to kill was very high, and so what they've done is lowered the amount. And you'll notice now that, say, like a manpad, probably the easiest one to notice, shoots down a helicopter or an aircraft worth a lot of points, they'll end up leveling up their veterancy, making them more accurate next time around, which is really nice because it kind of rewards you for doing well with your units and keeping your units alive. Unit preservation is super important. Now this game might seem a bit slow to begin with, but it's certainly ramped up. I'm kind of trying to get the lay of the land here, try and see what Love's trying to do on the left-hand side, so I'm taking it easy. On the right-hand side, I am building up that push that I was talking about. I've got the AMX-30Bs in position. We've got the Milan coming up to cover the road. I've got the Fox in there as well, and I'll be bringing more reinforcements up on the left-hand side. But I did want to get the Berlin Light Rifle over to the left so that I could get the recoilless onto the BRM. I'm also going to be covering off this main road with the Milan 2 as well. The Fox is hanging out in the car park here so that I can push that down the left side of the map potentially. But we're going to let the Milan 2 do its job first. Meanwhile, Taki on the right side trying to make a push with his Challenger 2 and the Chieftain Mark 11. I actually really like this version of Hess Duel, this version of Hess. The Duel version, it has these like very small sectors and they're not very close together on the front, so it definitely slows down the pace of the game. The standard Hess map has sectors that are much closer together and a lot more easily contestable with forward deployment. And these sorts of maps, they kind of negate the effectiveness of advanced deployment whilst it's still being a thing. And I like that. I actually like that a lot. MI2 there, being popped by the Mistral. Very nice indeed. The other thing I will say that has been added in this patch, or changed in this patch, is I've heard a lot of people say their performance has improved due to this patch. I'm not sure like how significant the optimizations have been, but yeah, I've had people say that they feel like the game performs a lot better than it was, which is always good to hear. Now we just get to hear the recoilless launchers firing away permanently as they're trying to take out the SPW 152Ks. They're advancing forwards. MI8 here, going to be hovering overhead, looking to get some rockets on target, but the Mistral waiting to shoot that down. I'm using an M35 supply here behind these Berlin light rifles to make sure that I keep the recoilless topped off, because the recoilless launcher can be fired at both armored units and infantry units, and against infantry units it's actually pretty effective. It's just uses up its ammo very quickly, so you've got to make sure you top it off. And in this case you can see we're using it to take out the NSV machine gun. I did bring over my VAB Milan that dropped off the Milan 2. That was getting its 50 cal ammo on target. And here we go, bringing up all of the infantry to start our push. So, going to be making use of these German reserve infantry. These are police units, but they are equipped with G3A4s, which is actually a pretty good battle rifle. And you get 10 man a squad with 25 points. Really, really nice. They are reservists, so they do take more suppression in combat, but they do have the security trait, which increases their optics when they're not moving. So they're very good sort of like reserve forces for covering your front line and putting DPS onto enemy infantry. See the Fox here is trying to sneak through on the left hand side, taking some pot shots at the Strata 2Ms as it goes by, but Love going to be on point and trying to take that out. Zooms over with the TO-55, stops my Fox from getting through and getting to the back line. Meanwhile, the one on the right is still moving around that right hand side, just trying to get the flank on. All the while, Berlin light rifles still firing away because, yeah, the M35 supply trying to get these guys reloaded so the shots can keep going on target. Now, any time that these hit a light armored target, they are going to basically kill it because they do have the 13 penetration. The big problem, of course, being accuracy. In this case, only 35% whilst stationary. Right, here goes the attack across the open. The police units have been ordered forwards. The Mordschützen on the right side there going to be holding the line. But here comes the big attack from Love. Built up. And he's coming in looking fast. The MI8's fortunately being taken care of pretty quickly by the Mistrals, but so many units now approaching me. Mordschützen BTR. We've got the Wachschützen coming forwards, providing Confederacy nearby. Probably also attack moving that forwards just to get it closer to the sector, but I have a really nice line. And the Polizei Reserve landed, or arrived, I should say, just in time to get lots of guns on target. We're playing up against Berliner Gruppierung, so I don't have to worry about necessarily high quality armoured and vehicles, but there is a serious abundance of infantry, as you can see across the front here, as things really are getting underway. But my push on this right hand side is working out very nicely right now. We've managed to get the Polizei Reserve into the opposite side, and the AMX-30s are providing excellent cover with their autocannon, the 20mm autocannon, and of course their main gun. Meanwhile, Love's push on the other side not going so well. The reliance on these BRMs not going to be too great, because the main gun on these is very much lacking HE to deal with infantry. The SPGs are always going to be good to use, and the machine guns like the NSV there and the SBW, which also has a KBVT, they're going to be great for engaging the infantry at range. But anytime they're getting low and pulling them back, I have plenty of supply nearby, and that's helping us keep on top of our numbers and also keep the recoilless rifles topped off with ammunition. On the left hand side, I was a little bit worried about the push coming in here, but the Berlin Light Rifles are holding nicely against the Strata 2Ms. I've got a couple of Chieftain Mark 10s arriving just to hold that side off. And meanwhile, over here, the AMX-30 still continuing to push forwards. Track Rapier helps take out the Mi-8 TV. ZPU taken out. These ZPUs are really interesting. You don't see them too often. I think last time I showcased them, they didn't have any sound, but they added the sound to them. And they're basically a quad 14.5mm machine gun. It's putting down some nice DPS here onto the PSSE. I do have some mortars. You'll notice this sort of red square that says like AD, I think it says, next to it. That's because it has the defensive fire order placed on it. So it's automatically all these mortars are automatically firing at stuff in this area. So currently 2 of them are targeting the SPG-9, one of them's kind of putting some mortar fire onto the BRM-1s. You'll notice that I've come across here with the AMX-30Bs. They're going to be able to help clean up this infantry that's caught out in the open, and the BRMs should also be relatively easy pickings. This Berlin Light Rifle, we've got it back up to scratch. All of the recoilless have been reloaded, so we're going to be able to take care of the Conkers that are coming forwards to put pressure onto the Chieftain Mark 10s. It was an interesting choice for my opponent to use the artillery piece for direct fire. I feel like this has potential to be good in supporting against enemy infantry in buildings, but the 122 on its own is not very good generally. If that was more like an Akataya or something that you could use at super close range to get the job done, that would be great. But the PaK MT12, at least, this thing can pack a punch. 16 penetration with an 18 penetration 2,800 meter Bastion missile. That thing can be pretty nasty. Now, as you can see, the score is still relatively even, as I haven't managed to get a command into this sector in the center just yet. So whilst we have managed to have a very nice engagement here holding back Love's push, I haven't managed to completely capitalize on my push in the center just yet. The engineers with the dragons now coming in. Nice thing about these engineers with dragon is they do have the shock trait. The shock trait was changed slightly in that the shock trait now activates slightly further away than it did before. I think it was like 25 meters more, but it now is 5% less effective. So basically what that means is they inflict 5% less suppression when fighting at close ranges now than they used to before. So M1IP now on the field, going to be helping out from the town here. Nicely nestled amongst the buildings. Going to be shrugging off that A to gem as it continues to fire away and take out the MT-12. I've got my reserve infantry still hanging around on the edge here. Again, nice thing about these Pilots I Reserve is because they are security, they have the extra optics when they are stationary, which is really, really nice. So the engineers here trying to get their dragons on target, but coming under quite significant artillery fire. Chieftain Mark 10's arriving. They're going to make short work of the T-55s, and that's going to open the way for the Chieftain Mark 10 command to move into the sector. Meanwhile, T-55s on this side trying to push forwards, but getting taken out. Unfortunately, not able to get into cover in time. That's the only reason I can wonder that they were going backwards. I think maybe a reverse command or something was put into this tree line, and they didn't manage to get in there in time. Hell Arms coming up to help with the TO-55, just going to hold them on the backside, and we now have the Nighthawk making a showing. This is of course Berlin Command. The Nighthawk is available, so yeah, it would be a shame not to use it. So that's going to be floating around looking for another kill. I was hoping to fly it over towards the T-80BV here, but we do end up losing line of sight. So no luck for the Nighthawk. He gets hit by a missile, so time to leave. Lucky that's still alive. MiG-23 comes over. I think it took down one of my Lynxes, but we did at least manage to trade. So that's good, and you'll notice that I managed to decap this, but we didn't actually manage to fully cap it back in our favor. So we're currently only ticking the +1, which is going to give our opponents plenty of time to try and put more pressure onto us and get back in the game. The only trouble, of course, is that our opponents here are using the Battlegroup on the left-hand side, which I wouldn't say is a division that has the most longevity. I have made it work really well in the past for long games, but when you're up against better tech, generally in the case of like this M1IP, it's going to make using the numerous T-55s much more difficult, particularly in this case if I'm managing to sort of pull back and keep distance enough that those T-55s won't be effective. After all those kills, the front does go quiet for just a moment. Just going to give me time to consolidate my forces here. You can see that all of the ones that are low in number, I'm pulling back. I didn't bring a fob, so I am being a little bit more careful with my supply, but I do at least have some buffers left to come over here and provide the replenishment. So Chieftain Mark 10, assisted by the Dragon, going to be engaging the T-80 BBK. Usually the T-80 in this situation would outmatch the Chieftain quite significantly, but the Chieftain, supported by the Engineer, has caused that T-80 to lose its cohesion, in which case it is going to be a lot less accurate. Not lacking accuracy enough though, as the Chieftain does get hit down to 1 health. I'm able to pull that just back in time. Left side now looking very, very chill. M35 trying to get into position here. My Lynx did unfortunately get shot down. The M35 supply does get intercepted. At least my Bedford I pulled off to the left here, and that's going to be able to help fix up these Chieftains. You'll notice that the Chieftains are taking a bit longer to repair. Do you like that change? We got the SEK. These guys are having a jog up the train line. You got this big train line that goes through the middle of Hesse. I really, really like it. It's cool. So on the left-hand side, because it was so quiet, I thought, you know what, maybe they pushed everything into me, but they don't actually have much on the defense anymore. So we're going to go for a little bit of a counterattack here. And I'm going to have my reserve infantry push ahead to do that. They're going to sort of scout the way for me, and then I can start moving up the rest of the stuff if there's no resistance. These are like my cheap sort of units that I'm advancing onto contact just in case there's something I need to deal with. Also, the great thing about using these to advance with is as soon as they stop and they get the security trait, you get the extra optics, and it kind of provides you with forward recon. And because the M35 did go down, it means that I'm not going to be able to fix up these squads or replenish these squads, which is a bit rough. L39 does go down. The trap rapier does manage to catch out the second, but unfortunately that cluster does manage to hit my Challenger 2, and so I'm not going to be able to cap this sector anytime soon, especially since the Chieftain Mark 10 is too damaged and the Rover CP here is a truck. So that's going to go down way too quickly. You'll notice that my reserves are getting up very far on the left hand side here. So I'm going to be beginning to move up even more of my units, the Berlin Light Rifles, the M1 IP is even coming over to help out, and bringing up more SEK with the Sonderwagen to push up with the Abrams. I put the Sonderwagen actually onto a follow order for the M1 IP so that the M1 IP could benefit from the extra optics there, allowing it to spot things as we go. I've got the Fox to support. Just basically moving up everything here, bringing up a PVADS to help support whilst we kind of try and consolidate power in this position, because I don't want to get pushed out of here, otherwise we're going to lose all the progress we made. And whilst we are technically winning at 172 points to 25, I do like to try and push things to the limit, try and win as quickly as possible in these sorts of situations. So Motschützen against the Polizei Reserve. The Motschützen, they do benefit from the Resolute trait, which is very helpful in these sorts of situations. Just infantry on infantry, the Motschützen are not going to be suffering from as much cohesion loss, and because of that able to inflict more damage. But I'm going to be able to outnumber the Motschützen quite significantly once the Berlin Light Rifles arrive. Also the recoilless rifles will be able to help put some damage on target. All the while, continuing to push more infantry across, just get in a good position where I might be able to actually engage this sector. Now you would have seen the dotted circle there. That was where I was giving my mortars another defensive fire command. What defensive fire does is it will automatically fire at any units within that circle that have been spotted. Even if they're not spotted and have been spotted previously, it will also target that location. So it's very, very useful to use defensive fire. The main reason that you wouldn't usually use it in something like a 10v10 is because your vehicles don't automatically move after they fire with these sort of smart orders, and therefore you need to be kind of careful using them, as it leaves you vulnerable to counter battery. It's the same reason that I don't often use the counter battery command. A lot of people ask me why I don't use the counter battery command, and it's because, one, it's delayed a lot of the time and might not be shooting at where a unit is but where a unit was. And the second thing with the counter battery command is they don't move after they fire, so you make yourself vulnerable to counter battery. Gotta admire a lovely double Mirage 4 bombing strike. Again, it's Berlin Command, it's gotta be done. Won't be seeing them for a while though, as they take absolutely ages to reload. We're able to take out a MiG-21 that went deep to try and kill them. Have managed to just about clean up the Motschützen on this left hand side here, and you can see pushing into the sector now. We're in a really good position. The T-55 is just waiting for me to take it out. The M1IP pops it. T-55's coming in from this side, unfortunately overwhelmed by my numbers, and we're able to now just break on through. We have a little bit of a push coming from the other player now here, the board dude with the 27th Guards. He's putting on the pressure. So I'm bringing over the SCK, and these guys are going to try and engage the Monostrelki off the top of the ridge here whilst not being in line of sight of the BMP-3. My Chieftain Mark 10 going down to the Bastion missiles of the BMP-3s though, that's unfortunate. Meanwhile though, M1IP finding the SPW-70 before they unload. So that was pretty big for us, taking out those extra reinforcements that might have stopped me advancing this M1IP into position. And because all of these units are just being chewed up now, I am going to move in here. We're going to push to +1, soon to be a +2. If I can get rid of this push in the middle, then there's a chance we might be able to capture this center sector as well. So that was kind of what I was counting on. Yeah, with the T-55 taken out of the sector, we are going to be full capping this. My reinforcements have just drove all the way up here, getting into a nice comfy position. And you can see on the left hand side, I haven't completely left it. I've got 2 recon units, we've got the security unit, I've got a Berlin light rifle here just in case. I do have some recon further back, a little bit of a defensive depth on the left hand side, because there's a good chance that, you know, you could throw loads of units just down on the side and just break back into our sector on the back side and flank all of my units. That being said, with me now in this nice position here, I've got everything I need, like the Mistrals and the PVADs, plus all of the tanks. Anyway, since we're getting to that point where I have an abundance of points, I actually bring up the Harriers to just strafe enemy targets. Nighthawks here, they're going to look to kill the BMP-3s for me. Useful double Nighthawk there. And off they go into the sunset. Very cool. Harrier GR3 coming across for a little bit of a strafing run onto the specified Vedcon on the way out. Unfortunately, costs it its life. L-39's coming overhead for cheeky bombing strikes onto my infantry. You managed to take out one set of the standard Berlin rifles. M1IP coming over to help deal with the SPW-70. M1IP moving up on the back side to take out the T-8M as it fails to take out anything on the ground. And things going very well for us. You can see that Love is trying to push in on the backside here with the SPW-70, but not really much that can do. Hoping that maybe I could have captured the T-813, but turns out there's a Mutchison Metis with an SPW-70 here. I do end up capping it because the Mutchison, or because it moves too far away from the Mutchison. M1IP is going to try and take out the Tunguska. The second M1IP, the CP version, can be moving in for the cap on the backside and just getting incredibly aggressive now. You can see they've got this M1IP also ready to drive forwards and capture this sector as well. So we've managed to punch through on this left hand side all the way to the enemy spawn, and I think the majority of this game just came down to the fact that, like, the Berliner Gruppierung kind of fell apart, and yeah, it's a very difficult division to play, especially when your infantry is also somewhat outmatched. I think Berlin Command is perfect for this sort of urban environment, because you have the Berlin rifles with their Law 80s, you have the Berlin rifles with the Berlin light rifles, I mean, with the recoilless. You've got loads of these reserve police units, which are nice chunky 25-point squads. So the infantry fighting is very much in your favour in these towns. The Wachschützen just not able to find value. Nighthawk floating about once again, looking for some more kills, but there goes the cap into the center. I believe it was at this point GGs were called. SPW-70 trying to put pressure onto the mortars, but the Fox coming in from the back line, getting the job done. We're sitting on the +6 now, having captured all of these sectors. My Nighthawk comes in for a little bit of a bombing strike onto the T-80BV, and that is it. I didn't end up using this Fox on the backside here. I did mean to drive that across the back and get some kills in, but we got enough kills regardless. 7,500 to 3,270 losses. And yeah, the reason I just recorded this was because it was a fun little game. It gave me a good chance to talk about the changes that came with the 1.0 release. And yeah, I think it's always nice to see the Nighthawks and the Mirage 4s in action. Shame we only got one bombing strike out of the Mirage 4s though. But the M1 IPs here, you can see absolutely carrying me with the amount of kills that they got. Incredible stuff. Alright, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'll be back with more WARNO content, of course, in the future. Look forward to the campaign content as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.